DIJIBB.
Guys, thanks for tuning in on today's car review. I'm your host Gabe, and today we're going to be looking at this 2011 Mercedes-Benz C300. Now, the C300 is not a new name in the Mercedes-Benz lineup. It's always been the entry level, you know, get your foot in the door for the Mercedes-Benz experience. Back in 2011, there was really only three options you can get. You can get the C300, which is this one. You can get the C350, and then you can get the C63 AMG, which we all know and love. The only difference really had to do with the performance and a little tweaking in the suspensions. Transmission pretty much stayed the same in all of the models, but really it just came down to the engine sizes and the HP and performance output of these cars. And of course, the most differencing is the exhaust note, which by the way, let's get a little exhaust note right now. From the inside, it doesn't sound very bombastic as any other performance car would sound. However, on the outside, it's a completely different story. It does sound really good. It sounds like your typical, you know, V6 Camaro, V6 Mustang, V6 performance or muscle car, but overall stock, you know, you're not gonna get something crazy. So let's talk about what's producing that noise. It's a 3-liter V6 engine that, by the way, has one of the nicest setups that I've ever seen in my entire life for a factory car. I mean, it just looks so organized, so clean. It's just a great presentation as a whole. And this V6 engine, this naturally aspirated V6 engine, actually produces around 228 horsepower. Now, in terms of weight, this car is 3,500 pounds. Of course, with little options here and there, you'll probably end up touching the high 35s, maybe 36. 228 horsepower, 3,600 pounds. It's a recipe for 0 to 60 times in the late 5 seconds, early 6 seconds. But nonetheless, let's take a break from the engines and performance talk, and let's just take a moment to appreciate just how beautiful this car looks for a 9-year-old car. It's still a very good looking car. It's still very attractive, especially in this beautiful like gold sand, almost like a champagne color. I think it's quite possibly the nicest color that you can get for the C300. I mean, this car looks a lot better than other C300s that I have seen, especially the ones that are black and white. Now that we're talking a little bit about exterior color, let's take a look at the beautiful 5-spoke AMG wheels that this car comes with and like that silver alloy finish. I love the color combination, that champagne gold exterior color and that silver AMG wheels. It's just a really good contrast, and it makes the car look very pristine, very luxurious. Now that we're appreciating the rims, let's take a moment to appreciate the entire like profile of this car. Again, that beautiful gold champagne color. When the sun hits it, just sparkles, and it just reminds you of a refreshing champagne drink. I absolutely love how this car's front is actually very simplistic in terms of design. I mean, it's got the iconic Mercedes-Benz grille with the Mercedes-Benz logo integrated into it. Headlight design, even though it's very antique, outdated, it still looks very refreshing and very nice. Now, as we move to the rear of the car, that's where the things start to get a little bit noticeable in terms of how old this car is. These taillights don't actually look very new at all. They look very mosaic, very outdated, and that's really the only thing, in my opinion, that really gives it off that this car is an older car. And one of the cool things about this car is that it does have a little lip spoiler in the back. I think it's so cool that they added that little touch of sportiness to remind you that, hey, we're not all about class and we're not all about elegance. We got a little bit of roughness in here, you know, a little bit of a fun side, you know. Okay guys, so now that we've talked a little bit about the performance stats, the engine, we've talked a little bit about the exterior components and my thoughts on them, let's go ahead and talk about the interior of this car. Biggest giveaway that this car is old is the center console here. Right below the air vents, you will have dials where, you know, I guess back in the early 2010s and the late 2000s, people were dialing in the car, like they were actually pressing the numbers here because, you know, smartphones were just not as advanced as they are today. Crazy just how much the entire industry and the tech boom has changed the design of cars. What is this? Like, what is this, like a lunchbox but for cars? It really doesn't make any sense. It kind of looks like, oh, you were too cheap to get the option with the screen on it. No. It's here. Oh, it's that screen. All right, still pretty ugly though, but the little screen there kind of reminds me of the iPhone 4 because it was a very boxy, very small design, and it looks like they just literally put the phone behind it and kind of just went with it. I wouldn't insult iPhone like that because the infotainment system is just very archaic. It's slow to actually move around in the sections, and you actually have to press some of the buttons here. But anyways, the infotainment system is not really great. You know, the Bluetooth system kind of sucks. The auxiliary cable, the whole music situation is not nearly as enjoyable as the newer ones. But nonetheless, it's a 2011 car. It's an older gen car. I kind of feel bad right now bashing on the center console infotainment system. So I want to take a step back and just talk to you guys a little bit about some of the things that I actually really love about the interior, especially the driver and passenger interactions. The first one being the wood accents that this car has. I think it's probably one of the nicest wood finishes that I've ever seen in cars. I mean, it's just so appealing to look at. The wood is so nice that it actually looks like as if it was like before you start stirring your coffee with the creamer, it kind of looks like that, you know, like that dark yet light blemish there. I do love how the AC dial is finished in like a chrome piece, and that contrasts very well with the outside of the car, the exterior, and of course the wood trim. So very, very nice design. The steering wheel over the years has gone bad because here in Miami, you know, you do sweat a lot, and of course this is not necessarily the nicest leather, so the top here does have some peeling. The design of the steering wheel itself is not anything too crazy. This one does look kind of cheap, but again, these are things that you can always buy aftermarket. It worked. That's the important thing. You do have some of your comfort and convenient options here. Another really cool thing about this car that kind of gives it into like that fun, playful, exciting, and kind of like a luxurious item is the fact that this car has a sunroof. The mechanism is very, very quick as well. Now this car has a dual tone color scheme going on, and it's a gray with a beige color. The beige is very good with the exteriors, you know, champagne gold color. I do enjoy this gray color. I think it's a pretty good color to contrast it with. For the driver and the passenger seats, these are pretty comfortable, I'm not gonna lie. And on a day-to-day routine, you know, going to work and back, they are quite manageable. They look very nice in design. I think that these are very simple. All right, guys, so now that we've talked a little bit about the exterior, interior, performance, engine components of this car, I think it's now the appropriate time to start driving this car and showing you guys how it's like to drive a Mercedes-Benz from 2011, the C-Class. Okay, before we start moving, I just gotta say how buttery smooth the gear shifter is. Look at this. Such a amazing feeling and sound. This does come with a 7-speed automatic transmission. It's actually a transmission that's seen in the C350, which is the middle ground performance car, and of course the C63 AMG. One of the things that I like to say about this car, and sorry I'm lowering my voice, trust me, it'll tie into what I'm about to say, is that it's very quiet. It's very, very quiet. I mean, you barely hear any noise on the outside, and that just shows how good the sound insulation is on an entry-level car. So we actually have two modes, eco mode and sport mode. Let's go ahead and put it on sport mode. We're coming to a stop sign now. Do a little launch. Launch control system is not nearly as exciting as I thought it would be. All right, guys, so we're now coming up on the highway. Let's do our first pull. You know, the acceleration wasn't as, again, crazy. The torque just really wasn't there. Of course, there's a lot of sound insulation on this car, so the exhaust gets drowned out, unfortunately. But again, aftermarket stuff, you can't go wrong with that. So now we're on the highway. taking it real easy now, and I want to just take a brief moment to go back to the conversation we had about the exterior paint color. When the sun does hit it, it looks absolutely gorgeous, and on the highway I do get some people taking a look at the car. It's a very refreshing color to look at, not gonna lie. The field of view from the side view mirrors, not only do they look really good, I love how angular they look. The visibility in this car, and most sedans, is very nice. I mean, you can't go wrong with this car, honestly. All right, so we're gonna do another pull here. I will say for sure though is that the transmission is not accurate at all. I mean, I was shifting and I probably got about a second delay, which is, you know, in terms of racing and going fast and for measurements, that's not good. As I mentioned before, this is the same transmission that they have on the C63, so it kind of leads me to believe that the C63 may not be the best car to have in terms of a transmission responsiveness. On a performance car, it means a lot, but on a car like this, it may be permissible. This car is extremely easy to drive on the highway. It's very friendly. It doesn't have very rough suspension as well. Even on sport mode, it's very comfortable. All right, guys, so now we're approaching the exit. Let's see how this car handles under some pressure. Wow. Are you kidding me? Wow. This thing handles great. That was really good. Okay, this car had pretty much no body roll. Damn, I am pumped right now. Let's do another little launch here. You know what's funny? That this car literally brings no attention in terms of sound. You see that little delay there, but at lower speeds, this car definitely has a little bit of torque in there. I was mistaken from earlier. I guess we were launching at a different gear, but you know, again, that transmission is kind of a turn off. All right, guys, so I went ahead and parked the car, and now would be a perfect time to go ahead and conclude this video. I hope you guys found this video informative and entertaining as much as I found it to be driving this car. For a 9-year-old entry-level C-Class, this car does have some very positive characteristic that does put a smile on my face even to this day, 9 years later. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys found this video useful, informative, or entertaining. Don't forget to like this video as well, guys. I want this car to be at the top of the search list. And guys, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We are so close to 2,000 subscribers, so we're almost there, guys. It's almost the end of the year, and I know we can do it. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.
DIJIBB.